What's going on, everybody? It's me, Ryan, the host of the Classic Buffalo Podcast, the podcast that lets your story be heard. We talk to everyday people, just like you, listener, about their life, their passions, their pains, and their dreams, all surrounding their experience with mental health. Today, we interview Sam B., the founder of the media management company Top View, about his Kenyan roots, the origin of his mindset, and how to be an entrepreneur amongst everything that's been going on. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode, Book 59, with Sam B. Here we go. Joining me this wonderful Monday night is the one, the only Sam B. What's up, Sam?
What's happening? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Dude, I'm pumped to have you on. The owner of Top View is finally on the Classic Buffalo Podcast. You've got like your hands in so many pots, which is why I'm super excited to kind of like have you on, just because you have so many different perspectives. What I want to do is kind of like warm us up. We're going right into some icebreakers. So, number one, what is your motto or like a piece of life advice that you live by? Maybe you received it recently or you've always lived by.
People who stress about money never get money. So, and ever since I took that advice, I just took it and ran with it because like being an entrepreneur comes with a lot of ups and downs, like a roller coaster, but it's like being able to always like work under pressure. You feel me? Like that's what it takes. So
do you ever do you have a recent example or something that sticks out like that is a good example of why you live by that?
Just like the times we're going through right now, you know what I'm saying? A large majority of the population right now all around the world is either laid off their day-to-day work, or entrepreneurs are suffering right now because kind of where their world's in with this whole virus. So it's just like a lot of people are going through it financially. People who are paycheck to paycheck, people who run businesses, everybody's kind of shut down. So it's just like, it's like pressure makes diamonds.
That's good. Number two, would you rather be the funniest person or the smartest person in a room?
Probably the funniest. Yeah, you could be super smart and all that, but it's just like nowadays, like our phones can do 90 PhDs. So it's just like, it's like a lot of people are smart, but where's the personality? You know what I'm saying?
You could post a bunch of quotes on Instagram, like that you just copied and paste from some website, but like to film a video and like to be, or just the creative process and like just that kind of stuff. I don't know. That's harder to manufacture and copy.
No, that's facts. I definitely agree with that for sure.
If you could go to dinner with anyone in the world who's alive, who would you go to dinner with? What about like Cole Bennett?
And ironic you said that. I definitely wouldn't mind having dinner with Cole Bennett. Gary V, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Probably somebody along those lines.
Right. What is the best use for $1,000?
Make $2,000.
Okay, how do you do that?
However you want to invest your money, you know what I'm saying? Don't spend it all in one place.
What is the conspiracy theory that you actually believe in?
Most of them, because they're not. Because I like to take perspective and different information from everywhere. So,
aliens?
Oh yeah, for sure. I do believe in aliens, 100%.
Ghosts?
We might be aliens. For real.
All right, dude. Let's. We're a little bit warmed up here. What I want to do is kind of timeline. So day one, you've emerged out of the womb. You're in the world. Where are you at? What's the family like?
I'm originally from Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh, no way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I moved to the United States when I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
When I moved here, it was me, my cousin, my aunt, my grandma, my mom, my dad, and not too much later, my sister. You feel me? Two-bedroom apartment. So we came in as immigrants with whatever we had on our backs. You feel me? And we turned nothing to something.
So you feel like that was probably established like at a pretty young age, like just that chip on your shoulder, like we had to make something out of nothing?
It's sink or swim. You know what I'm saying? We don't just do this just because it looks cool. It's like it's all or nothing. It's like there is no plan B.
Right. Do you remember times where like, oh, we're not eating tonight, or like we have to eat a little less, or we can't go out as much as we want. Like, did you have moments like that stick out that you were like, that you kind of were aware that times were tough, and then you were able to see how your parents would handle those situations?
My mom and dad worked their ass off, so it's just
Yeah.
like I never had to worry about where food was coming from because my parents took care of business. You know what I'm saying? I remember my dad always used to tell me when my little sister was born in like 2000, he'd say like, "Hey, your lifestyle is a little different than your brother and then your sister and your brother's lifestyle." Meaning like just because some of the things you went through, they're not going to go through because it's like we believe in leveling up. So my parents handle business. Like they don't make excuses. They handle business.
Mm-hmm. Would you change any way you were raised?
No, not one bit. You have to go through the bad times because it's like those are the times that make the people. You know what I'm saying?
What's like one of your favorite moments, like growing up? Do you have one that's like, oh, we used to, camp, we used to travel, like maybe
Yeah,
something cool that you remember from your childhood?
yeah. Probably living in Africa and then going back and forth and seeing my family. I haven't been there since like 2014. I was supposed to go
Okay.
there probably every other year since then, but you know how life happens. So
Mm.
going back home, realizing like how blessed I am, and it humbles you at the end of the day.
You know what's so funny? Every single person that I've met from Nairobi, Kenya, they're all entrepreneurs. Every single person. They're some of the brightest people I know, like that I've met in my
Ye-
whole life. I don't know what it is, man, but like,
Yeah,
um,
Nairobi, Kenya is the capital of business.
yeah. Talk about the culture there, like kind of how much, like, is that a part of you? Is that?
Like I said, I moved here when I was 5 or 6.
Mhm.
My parents moved here like probably 4 years before me. The Kenyan embassy wouldn't let me leave. My parents were going to a church called St. Mark,
Mhm.
and they're kind of like telling the community like, hey, this is what's going on. You know what I'm saying? The Kenyan embassy won't let my son come through, and we got all of our paperwork. We have everything right. And I was living with my grandma in Kenya while my parents were here. And this lady called Mary, she passed away a couple of years ago.
Mm.
There's an 8-hour difference. So nighttime over here is daytime over here. So
Yep.
she went at it like going crazy trying to get me over here. I pay much respect to that. Like, it's just a blessing, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
So growing up, did you like end up in Indy, like right when you came to America, or were you somewhere else?
my parents, like I said, my parents were probably here 4 or 5 years before I got here.
Yeah, yeah.
So they already put in a lot of the groundwork and established a lot of the things. So when I got here, it was good. You know what I'm saying? So I moved straight to Indiana. I had a couple cousins that were here, so I'm assuming that's why my parents moved here. Now they left, gone to Texas, Atlanta, different places like that though.
Talk about like middle school, high school, like growing up like that. What kind of moments or anything key happened in that time?
I just grew up playing sports. I went to a middle school called St. Mark, and then I was supposed to go either to school around Cali or Franklin Central. I
Yeah,
decided to go to Franklin Central because I can kind of more or less relate to a lot of my
yeah.
uh, friends there. So I used to always get in trouble because I used to always hang out with the older kids. Like
Mm,
me and my cousin Andrew, we grew up together. He's my cousin, but we lived in the same house for apartments for 9 years
mm.
with my aunt and the rest of the family. So me and him, we just used to always hang out with the older kids, and we were like the only kids allowed in the neighborhood to play basketball with the older kids.
Yeah.
And we did kids things like ding dong ditch and things like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
like majority of my life, even in high school, all the older kids made sure that me and him stayed out of trouble. I think that's why we matured at such a young age, is because like I was surrounding myself with older people.
Yeah, what is it that you kind of attracted to you to those types of people? Because I'm kind of the same way. Like I never really fit in with my peers, which I don't know if that's a commonality of an entrepreneur or if that's like that you just are kind of, wouldn't say ahead of your peers, but just there's something that like you're drawn to people who are more curious or are more experienced. You want to.
Yeah.
I've just always been curious.
The biggest thing and at that time of my life was sports. obviously when you're playing basketball and hanging out with the older kids because you're playing sports and stuff, like they just kind of like rubbed off on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. It was the same thing for me growing up in middle school. Was like there was the seventh graders who played like on the baby courts or like the baby field, and then it was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's that one dude who has the giant yard, and if you get invited to play with the high school kids, like you're cool, or like like
That was literally it.
yeah.
And it's like the small neighborhood we lived in. It's like everybody knew everybody. It's called Yorktown. That was like I hated moving away from that place. It's like everybody knew everybody. So it's like even the maintenance people that used to pull up, you know what I'm saying? They used to, and when I say older kids, I'm talking about like 8-year difference, you know what I'm saying? 8 to 10-year difference.
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, if I catch you guys doing this, just know we gonna whoop y'all. You feel me?
Did you ever have like a lemonade stand or like one of those like middle school, high school like side hustles? Did you ever have one of those before like doing what you're doing now?
Nah, in middle school, I wasn't even thinking about business. Honestly, like my business was sports. So it's like,
Okay. Yeah.
I was an all-star, I'm not gonna lie. So it just like, Ron Colley was talking to me about coming over there to play football. I was always just ahead of my class in sports. So just like, that was my business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was your ticket. Did you want to play in college?
It came to a point where my coach was asking me my senior year, he's like, man, do you want to go play college sports? And I used to always say no. And he's like trying to figure me out. Like, why don't you want to go play sports? I thought I fumbled the ball. I thought I was supposed to, you feel me, like go play D1 or something like that. So it just like, I felt like I fell short. So it just like, I just wasn't feeling it. And I'm not going to go pay them to let me go play for them at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had places where I could have gone. Yeah, I could have gone to Marion. I could have gone to a couple different other high schools, or colleges. But it's just like that time I was selling shoes, like just
Oh, really?
flipping shoes. Yeah. So a lot of my friends were like flipping shoes, doing stuff like that. So I kind of started doing that.
Do you remember your first pair?
My biggest like hit
Yeah.
is like around the Roche Run days. I was getting so many shoes. It was crazy. Like I was getting hundreds of pairs of shoes, and I'd sell them all on OfferUp, Let It Go, like crazy, to the point where my sister and my mom, I would be so busy. I'd just tell my sister and my mom, like, hey, if y'all go pull up and just meet these people, like you can get $20-$30. You feel me? Out of it. And then from that point, I started selling bucket hats, like clothes. I just started hustling, really.
Yeah.
My dad's an entrepreneur too. So my mom, my dad, they worked their ass off here. You know what I'm saying? They were working 2 jobs, but like they ran businesses in and out the country. They started a cleaning business here. They have a couple business out of the country. So I've seen the way my mom and dad, because they used to just always show me, hey, look at this. We just bought land. We just bought a hotel. You know what I'm saying? And then they're showing me hotels that they were buying. They're putting people in hotels. I went back to Kenya with my dad, and we went to go check on his properties. Like he had hotels there. And I remember like the people at the properties coming up to my dad, because, you know, my dad has people that take care of it, which is other family members.
Mm-hmm.
But these people were coming to my dad. He was checking up on all the hotels, and the people, like, they had complaints like, hey, there's people who are trying to break in, all these like problems. Like and my dad's a boss. He was like, all right, we're going to fix that. You know what I'm saying? And like, it didn't take too much for him to figure out what the problem is and fix it. I see how my parents, like, they really are genuine people and they care about people. So it's like a lot of those morals got installed into me.
Did you go to college? Did you end up going?
Yeah. So I ended up going to Ivy Tech for 2 years. I applied to IUPUI, and I was ready to transfer to IUPUI my sophomore year. I went to college, and after 2 years, I'm like, man, college isn't teaching me how to make money. Everything's output, output, output. You know what I'm saying? They're not giving me what I need, so I dropped out. And then right around that time, what was it, like 2-3 years ago, I got the camera, started doing a lot of work for free, you know what I'm saying? And then like in the summer, I kind of like quote unquote like blew up. I went over 25 states. I went out of the country with my camera. I'd say around 60-80% of that was paid for. So I didn't look back. I'm like, shit. I went from taking a break for a semester to like, yeah, I've been waiting for a reason not to go back. Here's my reason.
Man, that's so cool. I wish I could just travel and do that kind of stuff.
You can if you want.
There you go.
No, really. I'm telling you, that's the problem with everybody. That everybody just says, I wish I can. I wish. Why can't you? Like, who's stopping you? You just got to jump off the porch and take that risk.
Why do you think people don't do it?
Because they don't want to take the risk. They want to be comfortable. Like, no one wants to get out of their comfort zone. Like, I busted my ass. I done lost a lot of money. I done made a lot of money. I done learned twice as much lessons. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I said earlier, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah. Did you ever get flack for dropping out?
I've always been a hard-headed person. I never want to work for no one. I always want to just do what makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And school wasn't making make sense. Like, I was paying for my school. You feel me? My dad would help too, but it's just like, to me, I'm like, why am I paying for school and I don't even want to be here? And I'm paying for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a freshman, you know what I'm saying? I'm paying for school.
Why did you pick up a camera?
So when I started Top View, my friend Jeremy Miller at the beginning, he's like, man, you need to create a Twitter. Run around the time Twitter was popping, people were getting paid for social media retweets and all that. He's like, bro, you need to jump on here, make this, and do this. And like I said, me and him connected through other business ventures even years before that. So I was already on the mindset, like, I'm trying to make it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do what my parents do. So when I was doing interviews, it was like my first team. It was like my first team was, they weren't doing what I wanted them to do. And I was paying these people and I felt like I had to beg people to do it. And I'm just like, one day I just tweeted, I'm like, trying to beg people to take my money and do their job. I'm about to learn how to do all this shit myself. So I took the money, I went, bought a camera, bought the best equipment I can at that time, and I just hit the ground running.
Damn, dude. Yeah, that's kind of, I'm in a similar position, like where I have to record these, I have to edit it, I have to do all of the social media promotion. I have to, like, you kind of, as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to, like, do stuff. And then, like, if you told me, hey, you got to learn how to walk on stilts, like, you got to be able to learn how to walk on stilts. You can't really necessarily afford or pay somebody to walk on stilts for you. You got to do it.
To run a business, I feel like you got to get your hands dirty. You got to learn how to do everything in your business. Or if you don't know what it takes to do every part of your business, then like you hiring people that can, one, either take advantage of you, two, you know what I'm saying, you're not holding them to expectations and so on.
Right. In the long run, you don't have to know how to do every single thing, but you do have to have a pretty good knowledge. That way you can gauge quality, you know? Like,
exactly.
Because, yeah, you could get fleeced pretty easily if you don't know. Like, oh, you just assume that person's the expert because they have social media expert in their Instagram bio.
Exactly. We see that all the time.
You manage Fresh Does It. And I mean, you manage other artists, right? I mean, you do, like, kind of explain what Top View is, what you do, like, who you manage, like, kind of talk about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so Top View is a media management company. It started through media. Where it is now is what I wanted it to be 3 years ago. But when I started, at one point, I tried to take on too much at once. Then I took a step back and I'm like, all right, let me figure out myself. So it started with media, just adding a lot of value into people's lives and asking zero to little for no return. Like, one thing I hate is people who count favors. That's my number one pet peeve. That it's like, when you add so much value to people, it's going to come back tenfold. And that's kind of how me and Fresh got connected, and a lot of artists and people in the city. So I managed Fresh as an artist. Me and him I started out as videographer, photographer. And then from that point on, just kind of all the services that I provide companies, I was providing him. And then we were just hitting the road 24/7, going back and forth. And then we just, like, it was even like management or cameraman. I was like, that's my brother. I know I have faith in him. I manage him. I manage Ken and Caleb. He's a photographer. Jaron at the Trap. He's a videographer. And then Ivy, she is a Instagram model slash influencer. That's kind of where we're going right now. Like, my biggest thing is like, I always hated to see my close friends and people get taken advantage of. And I used to complain. And I remember one person like, shit, are you always going to complain about it, or are you going to do something about it?
Where do you want to take it? Do you have like a 2020 goal / next 5 years, next 2 years? I know kind of coronavirus is kind of shifting everyone's life plans, a couple of 6 months or however long this is going to last. But, what are your kind of plans?
Everybody affiliated with Top View and me is going to take whatever they want to do to the next level. Easier said than done, but I just want to make sure everybody who I am affiliated with on the management part, relationship part, on the friendship part, is held to their highest standards and realizes like what they're really capable of, and whatever they want to do, like, we're going to do it.
That would be sick if you could get like one of your artists perform like in your hometown of Kenya.
Oh, you'll see that. You'll see that.
That would be sick.
Everything I say I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? Everything. And you can, and everybody can contest to that. What I say, even with Top View that we're talking about now, is what I've been saying for the last 34 years. Even on Twitter, if you go look at it, it's like I have a pinned tweet and it just says Top View is going to take over indie. And that's when like no one even knew what Top View was. 2018, it's pinned, and it's been pinned there. So it's just like, when I say I'm going to do something, like, don't take that very lightly.
Mm-hmm. When you say stuff like that, do you feel like it kind of motivates you into like, I wouldn't say scared, but kind of like, I don't want to let myself down. Like, I said I was going to do it. I have to do it now. I don't have a choice. Like, I can't afford to fail. Like, to say, like, you almost like push yourself to fulfill the promise, or like how do you view your promises? Like, that's cool. Like, I believe you. Like, that's awesome that you're able to do all that. I'm just curious how that works in your mind.
I'd say there's two answers to that. The first answer is like I said, I feel like I fumbled the ball with sports. So this is my sport right now. This is my get back.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people depending on me, in the country, out of the country. So it's like, it's sink or swim. I don't have a choice.
Well, I mean, as an entrepreneur, a lot of times, like, there is the mental side of it. Do you have any direct experience with anxiety, depression, things like that personally, or like maybe even in a friend circle or just in general? Do you have any experience with that?
Here, it's like a lot of people just say they got this, they got that, and they might self-diagnose themselves. But it's like, you create your own reality. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you tell yourself every day, the mindset you have is, like I said, one of my favorite quotes that Nick Turner told me is like, people who stress about money never get money. People who tell themselves that they're never going to do something, they're never going to do something. You're telling 3 trillion cells in your body you're not going to do whatever you're telling them. You're telling 3 trillion cells you're depressed. You know what I'm saying? Depression and happiness, those are two things, is a choice. You feel me? I choose to tell myself I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? Even when I'm not. Then it's like I bring that out of me. So you could say the same thing with depression.
Like, where do you think we're at with mental health today?
I feel like a lot of the media and mainstream feeds people the things that they are going through. So it's just like, the people you surround yourself with, if you surround yourself with 5 positive people, you're going to be the 6 positive people. If you surround yourself by 7 rich people, you're going to be the 7 rich people. If you surround yourself by 9 negative people, you're going to be 9 negative people. So if you surround yourself consuming all this content and comparing and contrasting what you and somebody else are doing, it's just like, that's what state you're going to be. And I feel like awareness is key. So now that we have social media, it can hurt us, but we can also help it leverage to help. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to act like I have all my shit figured out, because like I said, every single day is a fight for me too. You feel me? It's a mental fight. It's a struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go through things. I done got, like I said, I done lost a lot of money. I done been sued at 20, you know what I'm saying, by corporate companies. I done gone through a lot of things, but it's just like, at the end of the day, you just keep fighting. You got to fight.
What do you do when shit hits the fan?
I talk to the people that I know that been through the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I only talked about 1 or 2 people, honestly. And a lot of the times it's like, I feel like my biggest thing is I help so many people. So it's like, my out is like, helping so many people. It's my out, but it's also my also stress. You know what I'm saying? So the way I think I cope with things is helping people.
I'm a supporter. What would you say for advice? Like, what's the best thing I could say or do for someone who's struggling? Like, who's just having a shitty week, shitty day, shitty month, whatever, just going through something that's rough. What's the best thing a supporter or a good friend of someone can do?
Man, just reach out to somebody. It's just like, and I've been trying to be more like, especially during these times, I've been trying to reach out to more people, even if it's like 5 words, you know what I'm saying? Just reach out to somebody and just let them know, like, shit, tough times don't last forever. Tough people do, you feel me? So you just reach out to people and let them know. It's like, hey, you're not the only one going through it. And it's like, I'll be thinking to myself, even when I get caught complaining, and it's like, I'm really blessed. Like, there's a lot way worse things. Like, there's people who are homeless, who are down and out, who don't even gotta know where their next place they're sleeping, their next meal's coming from. So you just gotta, honestly, the reason we're on the phone is because I've added so much value to people, and all that came back 200 times fold.
Right.
Look from the outside in, you got realize how blessed you are, but reach out to somebody. If I were to listen to everybody telling me not to do something, I would not be here. So at the end of the day, I tell everybody, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, who cares? Like,
what would you say to like someone who's maybe in a similar position as you, maybe a few years behind you, a couple months, maybe they haven't started their own business, or they're afraid to do video because they don't want to publish it to YouTube. People are going to judge me.
Who cares what people think? They're just mad that they were scared to do it. So they're gonna try to tear you down. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody told me, go to college, get a good job. Just get a good job. Just go to college. Why am I just doing this? Why am I just doing this? And if everybody's right, why is everybody rich? You know what I'm saying? If everybody's going to college and getting a good job, why is not everybody rich? Well, I'm trying to listen to the people that got what I want. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If that's the type of goals that you set out for yourself and you got them, that makes sense. I'm not about to listen to some, hey, you should do this, you should do this. Show me. I don't care any scenario. If somebody tells me something, they're gonna do something.
I was just gonna say, working for free. Anybody who does that, they've been successful. It almost always pans out. I don't know why, it just does. Or I've seen people like, I took 6 months or whatever duration. Like, I worked for free. It's like, yeah, that's networking. And then all of a sudden it comes together at some point. Some people do that.
They want to attempt to do something, like, show me. Whatever you want to do, whatever you say you're going to do, especially to me, show me. So for about a year, and I still work majority of the time for free, but I'm strategic on who I'm working for free with.
Right.
Like, I always had good relationships with people. I've always been a people person. Like, the same Sam that is people know of now is the same Sam my real 10 plus friends been knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people know of me, but really no one knows me except you've been around 6+ years. And I mean, maybe in the last year or two, I've gained a lot of very close friends that
would just be so interesting to know who would be a part of your life if you were successful or not. Like, just, you don't have to fail, but like, just to know.
I know though. Those are the same people I'm with every day.
Yeah. How'd you audit your circle like that though?
Know Sam, but like majority of people know of Sam. But like, I've always been this, like, high school, middle school, like all my friends have always been this, you know what I'm saying? We've always lived in this same mindset. Like, a lot of people like became cool and all this, quote unquote, when social media pops up. What happens when all that dies? You know what I'm saying? What happens when a virus hits and it strips everybody from their money, and you got nothing but yourself and then in your humility in person? Then what are you gonna be? You feel me? Then are you still gonna be that person people gonna call? You know what I'm saying? What happens when you lose it all? Who's gonna be there? What are you gonna be? My number one thing is, I've only been shooting my camera for maybe 2.5 years now. Disloyalty.
Yep.
Counting favors, yeah, that's just a pet peeve of mine. But like, one thing I don't ever accept is disloyalty. So in the past, like, we've weeded the disloyalty people out, and we done gone through real situations, real life situations, life or death situations that tested who's gonna fold and who's not gonna fold. So like those are the same people. Like 2017, I lost everything. You feel me? And I seen who was with me when I lost everything. And tomorrow I lose everything, and I know who's gonna be with me.
Do you have like a moment where you made you go, "This is why I do what I do"?
There's like instances where it's just like sometimes when you're living in it, you can't really notice. But then it's just like when you got those close people around you, they just like they let you know it's like, hey, cuz like you got a lot of people depending on you, so you can't let up. And when you hear like family and the real people, like I don't listen to the people who know of Sam. I listen to people who know Sam. Those are the people's opinion that matter, because when they tell me like, hey, cuz you right there, don't let up, or my family's saying like, hey, you're the one, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing my grandma used to always tell me. Even when I was living with her when I was little and my parents moved here, she used to always be like, you're the one. You're the one. You're the one. You're the one. And even every time I talk to her on the phone, she tells me the same thing. You're the one. You're the one.
What about the building you have? You want to talk about that? That's kind of a cool thing.
So about like 4 or 5 months ago, this crazy chick, Abby, she contacted me, and I met her once before, and then a couple weeks after that, a month after that, she hit me up. She's like, hey, I'm not gonna lie, like I do my homework, and I've been up and down this state, and I've been bullshitted a lot, and this is what's going on. And she told me this crazy idea about the warehouse, this creative hub she's creating, all these things she's doing. And she's like, from what I've observed and what I've heard, is she's like, you're the person I need to come to because you got a lot of good relationships, connections, and you work. And at first, everything she was saying, it sounded so perfect. I'm like, yeah, that's good. You know what I'm saying? Then like, I didn't hear about her. I didn't hear about it for a while. And then she's like, people start contacting me, and I'm just like, kind of blew it off. And then, hey, I just want you to be a part of it. And she's like, I'm like, all right, dope. What do you want to do? And she's like, I want to throw an event here. Well, I'm like, well, I'm about to go to LA for about a week. And I came back from LA. She's like, hey, I want to throw this event. And I'm like, when? She's like, in 4 days. And I'm like, so you want to throw your first event? This place is about 50-60% done. So it was about 40% not completed. And you want to throw your first event here? I'm like, how many people you want? She's like, I don't know, like 200. I'm like, man, let's at least shoot for 300. So like we stayed up everybody just grinding like 24 hours, like for those 4 days, like staying up all night, getting the place ready, doing the marketing push. Shout out to Top View, the team. That was the most beautiful media push I've ever seen for the event. And then 4 days later, we had 400 people show up to the place. Then a week later, we threw another event. You know what I'm saying? 300 people. Then we went on a big team, Top View team, and Creative Confluence. So in a month, we did a lot. What most people do in 6 years, you know, or 6 months to a year.
Right.
And what they did with that space is what people do in 6 months to a year. So she wanted to partner up with the whole place, and I'm like, let's go. A day before I was about to go LA, probably a month or two ago, she hit me up. She's like, hey, come here. I just want you to see something. And the original building that she got, something went through and she didn't get it. And so she got another new building, and she showed me the whole building, and everything she said, she did.
Oh, I hope it continues to grow for you.
Yeah, and regardless, we're always gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
that's the entrepreneur life. Everything's a roller coaster.
I like that because I tried to compliment you and wish you, and you're like, you know what? Even if it doesn't work out, I'll find a way to still be successful. That's good. That's a perfect comment.
You just gotta always talk yourself through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, what you speak is the reality, so you can't always be talking negative because you're gonna speak it to existence.
Number one, would you rather travel to the past and meet your ancestors, or travel to the future and see your grandkids and or people who would be important if you don't want to have kids. All right, man. Let's wrap up here. We got a final 5 questions.
I'll probably go to the past and meet my ancestors, because it's like, if you know where you're from, you know what I'm saying, or where you've been, you're from, and originally you can help change a lot. And I feel like that's why I am the way I am, because like I know where I'm from. Like I seen the real culture, I seen real struggles, I seen real things. So it's just like that's what made me. So
Number 2, what is the key to happiness?
Speak into existence and thinking about it. You could be rich, but you always gonna never be satisfied. So you gotta live in it.
Number 3, what's your favorite part about yourself?
I'll probably say top view, because I told a lot of people I was gonna do this from the very start, and a lot of people doubted me, and a lot of people believed in me, and I did it, and I'm doing it, and I haven't done it because there's never it, but I'm doing what I said I'm doing. I understand people, and I'm aware. I'm always aware. I have good awareness. That would be it. I have good awareness.
Yeah. Number 4, what is your most proud moment of yourself? What's a TV show or YouTube channel, something like educational, cool show that you like? Good cinematography, maybe, funny show, whatever you want. What's a show you recommend?
Recently been watching, I hope I pronounced his name correct. His name is Sadhguru. He has one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the world, and he's one of the top 50 most influential people in India. He's a yogi, to be crazy. I don't know. Like, you got to look him up. You should look him up, honestly, like Sadhguru. Look up his interviews, and he's just like, he's a very smart Indian man that's just proved a lot of things.
Sweet. Well, you made it through the final 5, man. What I want to do now is I want you to pick a person, significant other, best friend, family member, whoever you want, but you're picking somebody and you're shouting them out. Say, hey, thanks, Janice from 8th grade for getting me for picking up a camera, for, teaching me about whatever. But we're doing this so that you can share this part of the podcast with them, kind of creating a little package of encouragement or a thank you to somebody who impacted your life. So go ahead and kind of take as long as you want and shout somebody out.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and shout out my grandparents. My grandma, you feel me? She's in Africa. My grandpa passed away a couple of years ago as a legend. So those are probably the most influential people I can think of in my life. And that's who I'm going to shout out.
All right. Sweet. So how can people get a hold of you?
TopView0 and SamB1__. TopView0 is the whole team. SamB1___ is my personal Instagram.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much for joining me, man. It's been fun getting to know you a little bit more. I was in the camp of I know of you, and I'd see you at a lot of different events and stuff. So it's kind of cool to talk a little bit more and share your story.
I appreciate you. Yeah, like I said, this is the most information I've ever put out as far as anything. So I appreciate you allowing me to get that chance.
All right, man. Well, hey, have a good rest of your day. We'll talk soon, all right?
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from the Classic Buffalo Podcast. Wanted to take a second to talk about Anchor, how I'm actually making this podcast happen. Super happy that I'm partnering with them. So, Anchor is actually the easiest way to make a podcast. I've done my research. This is basically the best way. I promise. It's going to give you everything you need in one place for free, which is the best part. It's going to have tools, so you don't really need a fancy schmancy recording guy. Anchor's going to be helping you out there, and then they're going to distribute the podcast everywhere to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everything. And then you can also make money with basically no minimum listenership, which is kind of rare. So hop on Anchor as soon as you can. Thanks. And that's the episode. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to be on an episode of Classic Buffalo, or maybe you know somebody who would want to be, please reach out over Instagram at Classic Buffalo. And now it's time for some debriefing. My thoughts on today's episode. A few things. One, are there people you, person listening, could be mentoring? Are there people that, man, your little brother, your little sister, somebody who's a couple years younger? Is there somebody who's wants to get into the same field as you? Someone who, family-wise, or just someone who you are a little bit farther along? Is there someone you could be mentoring? That was kind of the vibes that I got, was how effective that was for Sam, and how mentors and people older, even 8 to 10 years, can be an effective form of that. And if you don't have a mentor, maybe looking for that yourself. I'm sure I'd be flattered if someone was like, hey, I'd love to. I don't know if you have to have a formal conversation, but it's more so about just surrounding yourself with people who are a little bit farther along, or if you can be that for someone else, like that, it has a deeper impact than you can realize. And just surrounding yourself with positive people, either maybe they're alongside you in the same age or kind of in the same place of life and they're going for it too, or even if they're older and they can give you some wise advice, either one works. Counting favors was an interesting thing that just reminded me of a couple of people that I've worked in the past, that just immediately asking, like without building a relationship. It becomes such a pet peeve now that, you have some form of clout, or you are a little bit farther along than other people. And when smaller companies or smaller people automatically want something from you, or just want to create content, and not focus on building relationships, that becomes really annoying and easy to see through. So I kind of, I see it, and I'm just like, nope, I don't want to work with you. Even if it means you lose out on a sale or, potential things down the road. But when you can see that someone else is clearly trying to use you, sniff that out and get it out of there, even if you have to lose in the short term. Long term, it's like surrounding yourself with those positive people and people who it can be mutually beneficial. I don't know. I just, you gotta wine and dine me a little bit more than to just kind of out the gate, do that stuff. And so, but counting favors in general, and just like, I'm just super, trying to be aware of preventing that stuff in the first place. But kind of if somebody does something good for me and I'm like, are they going to want to cash in on this at some point? Because I have been burned, my own personal story, and it sounds like Sam has too as well. But, just try and avoid those types of people. Counting favors and loyalty and that whole politics and scenario, that's so annoying. But, yeah, man, thanks so much, Sam, for being on the podcast. It was really cool to talk with you and hear your story. Usually I would go and hang out with some of my friends and Sam would be in the room. And so I was like, man, I wonder what that guy's, going on, because the people I hang out with are cool. And then they know Sam. So it was finally cool to get him, like, kind of his perspective on some things. So thanks so much, man. And I wish Top View and you all the best. So as far as what's going on in the world, I know like a lot of businesses in Indiana specifically are opening up. It's weird to walk by a restaurant at some point and just see like it's actually full. It seems like it's full. Like there's just glimpses of like, wait, is the pandemic over, or like what's going on here? And then you hear people in other states that just they still aren't going out. And I know my job and my scenario, they're going to start going back to work and stuff like that at some point, but it's still just scary to me. It's still just what's going on? How safe is this really? And I feel bad for being younger and theoretically healthy or less at risk than some people. And I feel bad for being like wanting to be more cautious. So if you're feeling that way, or still, wanting to be cautious, you're not alone. Still somewhat of a scary time, and you don't know with everything. So, and I just was taking a break, or trying to, with my vintage stuff. It just kind of was getting a little bit just not fun and just more like a chore. And, I'm starting to think of some ideas for Classic Buffalo, and just how can I make this take advantage of this situation of the coronavirus, and how we can't be meeting up, and what the need and how a practical, cool thing might be good. So be on the lookout for that, because I might be doing something, reaching out to some of you to pick your brain on this idea that I have. But I'm still willing to do some phone calls and talk with you guys and get your story out there. But I'm doing okay. There have been still some rough days, but obviously if you're hearing this, I'm still here. So that's good. So until next time, which will probably be next week, it's been your boy Ryan. Peace.